Hello everyone, Sheik here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Lego Soundwave set. And, oh my, this is a cool set. I am so glad that my husband was so gracious enough to get it for me for Christmas. He is, well, like I said, so amazing, and he also surprised me with a Lego third-party Lego light-up kit, which had mixed results, but still pretty cool in my opinion. But without further ado, Soundwave. I have actually yet to transform him because I decided to put on the lighting kit, and then after I installed it, or mostly installed, I was like, wait a minute, can he even transform with it on? I'm going to give it a shot at some point, see if I can actually, obviously I'm going to do it at some point, see if I can. If I can't, as much as I don't want to, because it was a real pain to install, I'll probably just end up removing it. But it does look really cool, I will admit. The only lights I really care about is for the eyes. Don't really care that much about that one. That's kind of cool if it didn't do that weird revolving thing. If it just said solid red, I think that'd be pretty cool. Gold yellow light for his chest, I think that's really cool, but the others just seem a little gratuitous. Unfortunately, there is one in here, but I guess the wire broke during installation, so no light coming out of his gun, so that is unfortunate. But overall, I think it has a pretty neat effect. So transformation, I don't know if that's gonna be super feasible with these attached. Let's take a quick look at these guys first, Ravage and Laserbeak. They do follow more of the G1 figures in the sense that they, well, the weapons do not transform with them, but given that's also Lego, I really don't blame them. And then also this, I think it's so cool that it actually has a miniature Lego Soundwave in his micro cassette tape player mode, because they didn't have to. I mean, it is a little, it's very simple, so it wasn't that big of a deal for them to include. It would have been cool if they'd done that with Optimus and Bumblebee. I do have Lego Bumblebee. I've had him for quite some time. It was actually given to me as a gift from my brother, I think like a Christmas or two ago. It's just been so, anyway, craziness, all that stuff. I obviously haven't gotten around to it yet, but since this is more recent, the Soundwave and all that, I am going to obviously do this one first. And anyway, back to this. With the extra parts, there's actually not very many extra parts to this guy once you've got him fully built. But there is one other little thing that you can swap out, is a Ravage plate instead of a Laserbeak plate, which I think is really cool. And while they're at it, they could have easily done Rumble and Frenzy, but since they are not part of the set, I can see why they didn't include those. Although I would like to see a third party company make a Lego set for Rumble and Frenzy. Let's take a look first at Laserbeak. I do like this Condor mode. There's not a whole lot you can do with it posability wise. You can move the wings, but as far as the posability though, it's not that much different from the original Laserbeak. And it's an interesting design. I mean, if you take it off right off, it does also kind of look like the original Laserbeak if they had made Laserbeak a little bit smaller because of the way the silver is for that beak. But this is just an extension to make it, well, more appropriate for his size. These do come off in two pieces. And the only downside is that with Legos, things are going to come off not always as you expect, unless you glue them. Oh, and the instruction booklet is really cool too, sort of like with the Bumblebee and Optimus Prime one, where it has little bits of trivia, so that's pretty cool. You can see the obvious design for the cassette reel, and just to get him back into his Condor mode, I mean, it's very, very elementary to get him back into his Condor or cassette mode. And there you have it, Laserbeak cassette. And I guess I'll go ahead and get Ravage transform, and then we can test out the cassette feature, which I surprisingly, might surprise you, have not actually done yet. I have not actually put them in there because as soon as I got everything built, I was like lighting kit, and then I had to go away for a couple of weeks for work. So I haven't really gone back to town because picking up the pieces, so to speak, after I got back, just getting caught back up with work, and now I'm, getting to do some fun stuff now. But Ravage, I do believe, transforms kind of like this. I might actually screw it. Oh, and there goes. It's bad enough with some actual Transformers. It's even worse when it's Lego and pieces can just go wherever. Ah, there we are. I think it was like something like... Yeah, I am probably screwing this up bad. Of course, here we have the handy dandy instruction booklet, and I'll just thumb through that real quick if you just want to take a look at it. But it is pretty nifty. I guess maybe I won't get copyrighted if I just quickly show off the just the cool product shots, like also available, and it just talks about the history of these kits. And then there's a little bio, so that's pretty cool. Product shots, which looks really nice. And then just showing how you can have toy accurate or tune accurate. And then there we are, showing off the G1 artwork. And then it's assembly. Okay, now instructions. Battery replacement, if you need to do so. It is block that's right in there. Okay, so ooh. So it looks like these legs go in first. Oh, I see. Like this. And then like this. Okay, I just had the orientation a bit weird. Looks like, yep, looks like looks like the feet are at a little bit of a weird angle. That could just be me having it not quite transformed right. But here we have Lego Ravage in his cassette mode. I will say, I think Laserbeak does it a little bit better. But then again, going from, I guess, a Panther is a little bit more convoluted. Okay, so let's raise you up. And you press that button, it pops it open, which is pretty nice. And it's just a simple little mechanism. It does not latch shut, however, so there is a chance that could come weakened with time. All right, so Ravage can fit. He slides a little bit side to side from the looks of it. And for Laserbeak, will Laserbeak fit? Okay, looks like he's catching on something internally. What could that be? There we are. And Laserbeak fits, but Laserbeak is a bit of a tight fit, and then with the light on, well, he blocks pretty much the light because the light strip is right up there. Good thing that it doesn't get in the way of the light, or the light strip doesn't get in the way of Laserbeak fitting. But I think as far as what looks better in here, and it's not going to slide around, is Laserbeak. But as far as like display, I think Laserbeak, it looks cooler. But the downside is that I have not figured out how to get Laserbeak to sit on his arm or shoulder. I'm sure there's a modification you could make to either his arm or shoulder to be able to get Laserbeak to perch. Like maybe, I don't know, take this off and put something on Laserbeak's foot and then have him standing there. My only concern, like I said, with transforming him is these all these wires. So we'll see about that. Okay, I did figure out that I can mostly transform him as intended, but unfortunately, or I guess fortunately in my case, considering that this cable light broke, if I had to rely on trying to also transform with that wire with the way it was originally going through, I would not be able to transform him, but I can transform him with the way everything else is. But it is kind of tricky because some of the wires do kind of want to move around. One of the little boards that the wires plug into popped off, but it can be done, and the alt mode's a little wonky, but I'm probably gonna either keep him in robot mode most of the time and just leave the lighting kit on, or if I plan on transforming him a bunch, I'll probably just remove the lighting kit because it is such a nuisance. It gets in the way. This is hanging off the whole time. But it can be done if you're ever considering getting a lighting kit for your Lego Soundwave. I guess one thing that I should go ahead and do before I transform him is do all the sound effects. There's a lot of them, and I think it's in a random order, so I don't know how many times I have to press it until all of them have been done. That one I think is a new one. I wish for that one they had just pulled it from the show rather than doing it again, because it doesn't have the same oomph. I can't remember. I hope they also have to prepare for flight, because that is a really cool quote. Aha! There it is! Just stereotypical or standard blaster sound effects. As it was being Lego, the hand just wants to spin around, unfortunately. So you can't get, at least without doing some stuff to the joints, probably not going to be able to get him to hold it properly. I like that one. That one I think is really cheesy and corny, but hey, it's a line. I don't know if that was an actual quote or not. If it was, it's probably from the '86 movie, would be my guess. Oh, come on. And sometimes this button doesn't seem to press. I will say, some of it is a little menacing. Although I'm not sure about this light. If there's a way to remove this light without destroying the light behind the eyes, I'd probably do that, because I don't like, and I think this light, because the piece was the circuit board was too long, and I was afraid that it would not fit, like it would not fit in there, and I had to trim it down. I think when I trimmed it down, it damaged the circuitry, and only one of the lights is on. But fortunately, it bleeds through enough to where it's not too noticeable, at least from what I can see. Another one. And that's another new one. It keeps repeating, but then it does a couple new ones. So I don't know if I've gone. Ooh, that's a new gun. Okay, so I may or may not have gotten all of them. but I'm not going to sit here for like another 4 or 5 minutes trying to see if there's any more. And for comparison, I think it's a very important comparison. That's also one of the downsides of the lights down here, is it kind of gets in the way of the feet, and or the way they, well, for transformation, because they're not fully extended, because like I said, the lights get in the way. But he might fall forward. But for comparison, here we have him with Lego Optimus Prime, and Optimus is just a little bit taller, but not by much. But I think they look pretty cool together. I think Optimus probably has a little bit more articulation than Soundwave, but I think it's partly because of the way Soundwave transforms. But and I guess speaking of articulation, the arms are on ratchets right here, on a somewhat soft ratchet, so you can get a full 360 there. Can't really get any rotation. It's you know, Lego, so only go out that far. Double bend at the elbow, which is pretty nice, so you get a good amount of bend there. But unfortunately, you can't have him press his own eject button. But given the limitations of Lego, I won't hold it too much against the designers. There's only so much you can do. There's nothing at the waist. Like, if you're thinking of like G1, it's like pretty much G1 articulation with a little extra for like the hands. But the hands do rotate, as you can tell for this hand right here. There is a thumb. Thumb tends to pop off a lot. And 3 individual fingers, which I think are similar to the style of Bumblebees rather than Optimus Primes, which are more, well, it's more like a mitt for Optimus, but it is looks more like standard, I don't know, Transformer fingers than these. Well, I mean, I guess those are okay, but I guess they're a little small for Optimus's hands. There is a thigh rotation, but that is for transformation. There is no forward or back on this guy. Unfortunately, I can't remember. I'd have to pull out my G1 Soundwave, but if I remember right, his legs could move forward, but I don't think they could move backwards. But this one does have limited articulation because there is no hip joint right there to allow it to go forward and back. But you do get side to side, so he can do the splits. And then you do get about 90-degree bend at the knee, and that's not even for transformation joint. That's just joint he has. But considering that you can't bend his legs forward, I mean, it's seems kind of pointless to have a knee bend like that, but I guess it's only because of it has to also bend like that for transformation. So there's that. And he does have some ankle tilted, which is nice, and he does have the little rubber stopper things on his feet to give him better stability in his robot mode. I do think that Lego Soundwave is one of those things that is more of to build and have on display, not really play around with, because pieces will fall off. I've only transformed him once, but there was a number of parts wanting to pop off. Same thing with Optimus Prime, like any Lego Transformer, even ones that I've made myself that are not official, they also have the same issue with transformation, where things will just kind of want to pop off that you don't want to pop off. But that is the nature of the beast when talking about Lego Transformers. So I guess it's about that time. It's time for his transformation. Soundwave in his cassette tape player mode, and I think it looks really nice. The only downside is, to me, of why I don't really want to get rid of the lighting kit is that this just looks so cool with that lit up like that. Now the downside is that with the light, if you have a cassette in there, it's not going to really be glowing like that. And I know I already showed it in robot mode, but may as well do it once more in tape deck mode, because why not? Although, like I said earlier, there we are. Laserbeak, for whatever reason, has a bit more difficulty, but getting in there. But man, this is amazing. This is something I only dreamed of as a kid. I do believe I did make a couple of Lego Soundwaves in my time, complete with Lego Ravages and Laserbeaks, but nothing like this. Nothing as big as this either, but I mean, this is such an impressive feat. I mean, this would be awesome to display just as is. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to display it from the back, but then again, like I've said, I think it was like for Lego, or not Lego, but for Legacy Blaster and some of the other ones, it's like, sure, you want all the angles to look good, but it's like, you're not going to display a boombox or a cassette player from the back. Like, I mean, who would do that? I mean, it doesn't really make sense. But this looks so cool. I like the stickers that they use. It looks really nice. And all in all, I think this is a really good set. And I'm so grateful that my husband got me this for Christmas. And yeah, it's nearing the end of January, and I'm just now getting this review out. But like I said earlier, had travel for work, yada yada yada, delays. And now I'm finally getting it out. So that's about it for Lego Soundwave. And unless you're a huge Lego nut or a huge Soundwave nut, or both, I really don't recommend this guy. But other than that, if you love Legos and Transformers, I highly recommend him. So until next time, have a good one, everyone.